Frequency Podcast Network. Stories that matter, podcasts that resonate.
He's in the building!
Drink the moment. Drink it.
I said, empty your mind.
Coquettish and coy. Ow. Ow.
What?
And there's people that are dying.
The wickedly talented.
More than great. It was historic.
Crack is
Oh, good for you.
I have to apologize.
One of the hottest.
Welcome back to The Reheat, a podcast that re-examines the wildest celebrity news and scandals of yesteryear and asks, how would we react to the same events if they'd transpired today? I'm your co-host, Sarah Zahagian.
And I'm your other co-host, Sadaf Hassan. And this week is another hot off the press. But first of all, Happy New Year. We missed you. We're so glad to be back. Now, if you took a little gossip holiday, which I don't think Sarah and I could possibly manage. We cannot live like that. But don't worry, because today we're going to run through the biggest headlines owning the news over the last couple of weeks. Okay, so let's run through a few quickies first. Amy Schumer filed for divorce from husband Chris Fisher. The pair were married in 2018 and shares 6-year-old son, Gene. She's been hinting at it for a minute, oddly enough. And I can't help but wonder if it has anything to do with her kind of sudden and wild right-wing shift. She's also been making a lot of regular racist remarks on her social media. I don't know if she's gone off the edge a little bit here and if that has anything to do with this or vice versa. Just throwing it out there. For a little bit more heartbreaking news, Tatiana Schlossberg, an environmental journalist and the daughter of Caroline Kennedy and granddaughter of President John F. Kennedy, died from terminal cancer at just 35 years old last week. She wrote a beautiful essay about her diagnosis and her view on death just before her time came. It's in the New Yorker. We will have it in the show notes. Well worth your time. Please give it a read. And finally, and I know Sarah loves this one, we got to ask, is Leighton Meester not a fan of Ariana Grande? After Ariana praised Leighton on a red carpet over the weekend, fans assumed Leighton was mocking Ariana. But to be honest, to me, it just looked like she wasn't falling all over herself in amazement, which is normal for us, but abnormal, I suppose, in Hollywood land, right? Sarah, what do you think?
Okay, so there are a few possible interpretations. I think the story from Leighton's camp is she was mimicking Ariana because she thought Ariana was cute. Like, Ariana was so excited to see Leighton Meester. She was just like, I love you. Wow, wow, wow. And I think actually if you're Leighton Meester, you probably get this reaction from celebrities all the time, right? I think that especially celebrities in their early 30s. So that's probably not novel for her, right? She actually has, we're now realizing, like a cult following. But even if she did belittle Ariana, and I'm not saying she did, even if she did, I think she kind of maybe did a little bit. Here's the thing. Isn't that the fantasy? Isn't that, if you're Ariana, what you want from her? Because she obviously likes her because she grew up watching Gossip Girl. And in the words of Blair Waldorf, your descendants will one day boast that you were belittled by Blair Waldorf, right? Like there's a line, I think I'm paraphrasing, where she says that to her minions, right? That's the fantasy. And I think that every millennial girl watching that show, all of our sort of, you know, if you were kind of bi-curious, I think all of your bi-curiosity was focused on her. And you're sort of like, why do I ship her with all these guys? Blair and Chuck, Blair and Dan. Is it that I just want Blair? I think that's what we didn't just admit to ourselves. So I do think the fantasy is to have her belittle you and make it sexy. I think that's what Ariana would want.
Oh my God, Sarah, you just unlocked something for me. I didn't realize in all that time that was my bi-curiosity. And now I know, because you are correct. It was Leighton that I was into all this time.
The common denominator. The common denominator. She was in basically every sex scene on that show. Like by the end.
She was.
And I actually now...
all the good ones.
All the good ones. Well, she's really good at those. I now understand why she, like, as an actress, she seems to really avoid stuff like that now. And I think in part it's being that sexualized that consistently when you're young is, I don't know, maybe it's not for everyone. Some people like it and some people don't. But anyway, I think if you're Ariana, that's the fantasy. It's like when you meet Anna Wintour and she gives you a withering look. That's what you want from Leighton. That's what you want from her. I just have to say, Leighton, you are ready for your Christine Baranski, Meryl Streep era, right? You were the new Devil Wears Prada boss in I Love LA, which is just Gen Z Devil Wears Prada. Let's admit it. It's not their girls. It's Devil Wears Prada. And I think that this will hopefully lead to the Leighton Renaissance, right? Because clearly people can't get enough of her. So that's my take. What do you think?
God, I really hope so. I want her to get a bigger role somewhere because I feel like I Love LA. Love her role in it. It's not enough. I need more. I want something where she's in every scene. I need her to be the Rachel Sennett character, you know? That is exactly how I feel about this duo. And that's exactly how I feel about Leighton. She is one of our many gods. The reheat. Okay, time for our first big headline. This is a juicy one. I feel like unless you've been living under one of those damn rocks, you probably heard a little bit about it. The Beckham family is feuding and has been for a while, I think. Here's the quick gist. Eldest son, Brooklyn Beckham, and his recent wife, Nicola Peltz, are no contact with Brooklyn's famous parents, David and Victoria, and Brooklyn's siblings. Why? Well, first of all, we can really only speculate, but all the drama seems to center on the reported tension between Victoria and Nicola following Nicola and Brooklyn's lavish 2022 wedding. Rumors swirled that Nicola snubbed Victoria by not wearing a dress designed by her and instead choosing Valentino, which, like, is kind of a snub. Come on. Layered onto this were claims of disagreement over wedding planning, shifting family loyalties, and Brooklyn's increasingly close alignment with Nicola's family. Both sides have insisted for a while that nothing happened at the wedding and they were totally fine. But now I feel like it's clear something was going on. Something is going on. The reason we know that there's a whole blow up right now is because one of the other Beckham sons revealed on social media that Brooklyn actually blocked the entire family on Instagram, which, listen, I hear myself. This is ridiculous. This is not how families should fight, especially those in the media. But here we are. Over the holidays, I noticed, because I paid very careful, intense attention to this, David posted a couple of Instagram posts specifically dedicated to Brooklyn, letting him know how much he loves him, presumably assuming, like, this is the only way maybe my son will hear from me. It's all very heartbreaking, honestly, I think, as ridiculous as it is at the same time. Here's a little additional insight that Sarah and I are well aware of. Nicola's billionaire family, look them up because you will go down quite a Wikipedia hole if you do. They've long been in the tabloids for allegedly, hitting the allegedly hard here, for being very rude, spoiled, unkind people. A rumor has existed for like ever on the internet that Nicola even pushed her nanny down the stairs as a child. Now, this rumor has existed for as long as I can remember, and it also shows up in blind items every so often. Listen, it's been going around, and it's not just that. It's the idea that she wasn't nice to the help. She's not a pleasant person to be around. Granted, she was a child back then. Here's the thing. I'm biased. I love Victoria and David. A lot of that is based on the documentaries I've seen that they've done where they actually seem like quite lovely, funny, sweet people. Of course, we can't really know any celebrity, but I gotta choose my team, you know? They're all rich. They're all likely to be living in their own weird bubble. I also just want to say that I feel like both Brooklyn and Nicola are verifiably untalented Nepo babies who also appear to be not very bright, right? So I feel like they're kind of the perfect match, and it's hard for me to imagine that they're in the right for that reason enough. Sarah, I am dying to know, whose team are you on? What do you think is going on here?
Well, I mean, I'm on Team Victoria and David.
Of course.
Victoria is so charming. She's charm personified. I love her. I actually really like her as a fashion designer. If I had more money, I would wear a lot of her stuff. And my friends have said the same thing. Like, a lot of my friends have said that. And we've said that for years. Like, back when we were cool and more fashion forward, we still said that about her. I think she has great taste. I think she clearly cares about art and culture. And I really respect that about her. I think that, you know, she was mocked a lot when she got into fashion. People didn't take her seriously, but she has grit. Victoria, not a great singer, but it's okay. Great personality.
Totally okay.
Right? Great personality, lots of talent, hard worker, great work ethic. This woman, Also, I love that she had 4 kids, but seemed like she, even though it could afford all the help in the world, and I'm sure had way more help than most people, was pretty hands-on as well as being a working mom, right? I think that this is somebody who works really, really hard. David as well, somebody who worked really, really hard at sports and at business. I like how they've also worked at their marriage, and they admit that. Like, they've had crises and they've had to get through it. Like, I love work. I love hard work. And so this is a couple I adore, right? They're just a hardworking couple.
I love that way that you described them, Sarah. That's so great. I second that because there's something to be said for the fact they've been together for as long as they have, right? And they still seem like they fuck. Like, that's the vibe that I get from them.
They do. They absolutely do. I think they are genuinely incredibly attracted to each other. I love that for them. I love that for them. It seems like they have a happy family.
I'm incredibly attracted to both of them as well. We all should be.
Aren't we all? Like, aren't we all? As a couple. I'm actually not attracted to either one individually. I think of them as one person. Like, they're a package. Like, I don't think I could be sexually into just one of them. They are the same.
Speaking of, like, this is a bisexual dream. Yes, exactly.
Exactly. But I think their just image is too entwined at this point, right?
Yeah, I hear that.
Right. So I'm on their side. Their other children also seem to like them a lot. And listen, here's the thing. This is the risk with having so many children, because even if you raise them all well and you're loving, statistically, one of them's not going to like you.
That's very good odds. That's very good odds. I would say that for a lot of families that I know.
Yeah.
I think you're right. Listen, Sarah, I think I agree with you. So, okay, so we are Team Victoria. I think it's hard to be, Team Victoria and David. I think it's hard to be Team Brooklyn and Nicola, just knowing all of the dirty details of the past. Again, alleged details. Listen, guys, Brooklyn has tried to be a chef. He's tried to be a photographer. He does not want to be like an accountant, a lawyer, maybe a writer. He's got to do something that keeps him in the spotlight. And I think that says a lot about him, and probably also the way that he's fighting with his family right now. Nicola, too, is a terrible actor. And again, has also tried very hard to make a career in the spotlight. And I'm just not seeing it for either of them. They're both quite remarkably dull and boring. And we've talked about this on the Reheat before. Like, any interview they've done, any media they've done, it just flatlines. And I think, to your point, Sarah, it is the opposite of David and Victoria, right? Like, maybe they also feel a lot of pressure to fall in line and kind of live up to that sort of Beckham charm and Beckham persona. I don't think these two hit the mark at all. I have to assume, like, to their I'll speak to their side, that it has to be tough growing up in that shadow. I assume that's part of what's difficult here. Again, we can only guess.
I mean, here's the thing. Okay, yes, I do, but I think it's difficult to grow up in the shadow. But let's call a spade here, right? Everyone grows up in the shadow of something, right? Like, yes,
that's true.
Sometimes your parents are celebrities, but sometimes your dad is like a really successful entrepreneur. Your mom's a neurosurgeon, or you have a cousin who's this engineer who went to university at 15. Whatever it is. We all have these complexes because humans compare people to other people, right? Even if it's just you have a really successful neighbor. So I'm not inclined to give them a free pass unless they were actively abusive. Like, if you have a parent who comes home and is like, I won 2 Nobel Prizes and you're a loser, right? Okay, fine. Absolutely. Trauma, yes. But if you just have parents who are successful, but they love you and are nice to you and drive you to school and then ask you how your day was, I don't think that's an excuse for being such an asshole.
No, maybe it's like they grew up with everything, so they had to find their oppression somewhere and they kind of made it up. I don't know.
But this is something that it's so rare that I'm going to make a gender generalization.
Go.
This is something that sons of successful people do. I don't think it's something daughters do as often. I don't think like this. It's something that men do, right? Where they're like, oh, I'm so mad that you gave me everything, but also don't take it away. And I'm entitled to everything. Like, you can't have it both ways.
I agree. And I think it's also tends to be sons who, sorry to armchair listeners.
Yeah, we're armchair.
It tends to be sons who also feel like probably the heaviest of the shadow, or the darkest of the shadow, especially of their fathers. And God knows David's got a big goddamn shadow. But I also feel like here's kind of the trope that's they're circling too. And I think about it a lot as a South Asian person, because this often happens in South Asian families and culture, this idea that the son has been demonized and taken over and corrupted by his new wife, who's pulled him away from his family. And I find it so fascinating because that is also really fucked up in a gendered way. Because I think it takes two, and they're both adults. Like, this girl didn't hold a gun to his head, right? Like, they're both in this, they're both making the choice. He's the one who's doing the harder part of actually rejecting his family. So I hate that storyline and narrative that's been circling, that this woman is a demonic person who's taken him over.
Yes.
He's a fool himself. Like, she didn't do that to him.
No. And you know what? Yes, I completely agree with you. She didn't do that to him. It's a sexist narrative that she was the one who did that. He can read the news. He knows what her parents are like. He knows her dad tried to take over Disney randomly. Like, he knows that these are people who like conflict, right? And so I feel like Nelson Peltz is always looking for a fight, right? You know, in the world of business, right? That's why he tried to do the hostile takeover of Disney, right? Like, I just think that that's a man who wants a fight. And so maybe Brooklyn likes that about the family because it seems like he wants a fight. He wants to manufacture conflict for himself.
That's interesting. I could see that. I mean, again, like, it seems like he's feeling more aligned with that family. And who knows? I mean, when you also, I assume, I'm not married, I haven't been married. Maybe you can speak to this, Sarah. But when you join another family through marriage, you get to have like this period of time where you're the new person and it's exciting and you are getting to know the family. And especially as a man, I'm assuming like there's a little bit of glory to it, maybe. But I don't know. I feel like it's a stretch for me to try and be generous to this boy, who is very much a boy in my mind, by the way. He's a grown man. Sorry, Brooklyn.
Let me defend Nicola and why they're closer with her family than with his. This happens every time people get married. It's because if you are making the plans and you are making the Christmas plans, your husband's like, I don't care. You're making the Labor Day plans or whatever, then you're going to call your mom or your dad, right? And that's because you put in the logistical effort, okay? So I actually really hate it when people say, oh, she only wants to hang out with her family. It's like, well, he can make plans too, right? And I'm sorry. And I told my husband this from the beginning, and I told every man I dated this, because every man I've ever dated has at some point tried to make me responsible for his relationship with his mother. I will always say, I am not responsible for your relationship with your mother, right? It's not that I dislike your mother.
I love
I will not manage it for you. Go to therapy to learn how to deal with her if you have a problem, or just put her birthday in your calendar if that's the issue, right? And that's usually the issue. The issue is usually not that they need to go to therapy because they're genuinely triggered by their mother. It's usually like, I don't have the forethought to know when her birthday is. I could ask her and put it in my calendar, but I haven't done that. So could you remember her birthday for me?
Oh my God.
And it's all of this emotional labor. And I'm sorry, you know, if Gen Z wives don't want to do that emotional labor, good for them. I'm sorry. Like, good for them. I am not holding Nicola accountable for that. That is probably why they see her family more. And I mean, also, it seems like he's a genuine conflict with his family. But in many cases, these things start because men can't be bothered to pick up the phone. And I always say, like, if I died, Sadaf, I don't think you'd be at my funeral, because I don't think Brandon could figure out how to contact anyone or figure out, like, and I love him, but I don't think he could figure out how to contact anybody to notify them of my death. And so I think you'd be like, why haven't I seen Sarah in a while? And then, I don't know, maybe think I'd gone missing. Maybe you'd start a true crime podcast and you'd realize, like, I died. I was hit by a car. And you just weren't told, right? I think what would happen with most women I know if they died. Their husband would be like, I don't know how to tell anyone. I don't even know how to call her mom.
Oh, dear God. First of all, knock on wood. Second of all, I fear that you're right. Third of all, fill me in on all this. Your daughter will be better at getting things together. Your child.
Memorize
this is a delicious screed.
Well, but it's true. It's true. And
I see it, and I've seen it with friends of mine too. I think you're right, and I think it could very likely, and it does seem like kind of what's happening with these two, I have to say. Yeah. Oh, that's fascinating. Oh, wow. Okay. I think this is a good time to take a break. Now, while we do take a break, feel free to hit pause, go catch up on the Peltz family drama, that history, dig into it. It's fascinating. And then come on right back. And we're back. Next up, in a candid and rather juicy essay for The Cut, Ashley Tisdale has revealed, by the way, writing as Ashley French, her new married name. Took me a second, in which she reveals she recently made the tough decision to walk away from a celebrity mom group she once thought would be her supportive, quote unquote, village after having children. Now, she doesn't say this in the essay, but FYI, that group includes Mandy Moore and Hilary Duff. This is important information, which we will come back to. Now, in her essay, Ashley says that what began as a warm community of moms bonding over parenthood gradually soured for her because she began noticing subtle but hurtful social dynamics. She was being left out of hangouts. She was excluded in group chats. She said there was a lot of, quote, toxic moments that made her feel like she was back in high school again. Now, she reveals in the essay she ultimately texted the circle that she no longer wanted to participate. She called their behavior too immature and emotionally unhealthy for her. Basically, she dropped bombs in the group chat, and she chose to prioritize her well-being and set a positive example for her two daughters. Of course, social media has been buzzing, guessing who she's talking about. It's also calling her out for when Mandy's house burned down during the LA fires. Hilary took Mandy in while Ashley was bragging online about buying a new home. Now, I want to add, in the time that I wrote the script, like literally overnight, Hilary Duff's husband, Matthew Coma, actually posted on social media, also throwing bombs, I must say. And this is like unexpected when the husbands step into the fight. But he posted an Instagram that kind of side-eyeingly, tongue-in-cheekly takes aim at Ashley, suggesting that she was actually the toxic one, which is hilarious to me. Now, Sarah, I must know your thoughts because you're the actual mom here. And because here's the thing, I assume that these toxic groups do exist, but why does this feel a little bit like, I don't know, both sides here? Tell me what you're thinking.
Okay, so here's the thing. I don't think this group was toxic to Ashley Tisdale, Ashley French. Here's why. She couldn't give any real examples of toxicity. Her biggest grievance was she went to a dinner party and they sat her at the end of the table. Like, someone's got to sit there, right? Like, they sat you at the table. It's not like they put you at a different table, right? It's someone's got to sit there, right? And then she talked about how sometimes she wasn't invited to group hangouts. And I understand that that can be hurtful, but okay, I'm going to reference something that I know is kind of basic, and I feel like it's okay in this context. So, in Mel Robbins' book, The Let Them Theory, she actually talks a lot about mom friendships. I know Mel Robbins is a little bit polarizing. I mean, it's not like she's a bad person or anything, but, you know, sometimes she isn't maybe as politically engaged as people would like her to be.
Sure.
Having said that, her commentary on mom friends is great. The same thing happened to her, basically. So she had these really close mom friends, and they used to hang out all the time. And then a bunch of them kind of, by fluke, ended up living closer to each other. And so they were getting together without her. And she was really upset about it. She basically iced them out and wouldn't hang out with them anymore. And then she said, in hindsight, she was reflecting and she realized, right, doing all this research on friendship, a lot of friendship is based on proximity. So they lived close to each other. They probably saw each other at the bus stop picking up their kids and were like, hey, what are you doing tonight? Let's just order pizza and have the kids play in the yard, right? And so she realized it wasn't actually exclusion. It was more just convenient hangouts, right? So I think in this case, it can be hard to depersonalize it, especially when, you know, you're sleep deprived because you've got kids and you're also a working mom and life is stressful. And Mel Robbins very much admits to having been in this really defensive, hurt position, kind of like Ashley French was at the time. But in retrospect, she realizes she wasn't being snubbed. They liked her. It's just that a lot of friendship at that age, when you don't have a lot of time, is literally about convenience, right? And it's not that you don't want to hang out with other people. You just hang out with the people where there's the least friction. It's the easiest to hang out with them. So I think that this is the situation probably for whatever reason. She wasn't at certain hangouts because of that. Having said that, I think that what she did was actually toxic, like writing an op-ed.
Yeah.
That's toxic behavior. And I think that Hilary Duff's husband is right.
I totally agree. And I've also, you know, it's funny when you write this essay and you put your heart into it and you get published in the Cut and you do it and you're with your new name. And then the next morning, everybody's actually turned against you. I think it says a lot that everybody's actually saying, Ashley, you might want to review this for a quick second, think it through. It's also tough because Mandy Moore and Hilary Duff have really, really positive, squeaky clean personas, and they always have. And I know you don't totally agree, Sarah, but they do in Hollywood, right? Like, respectively. And so I think that's tough then when people can figure out who these friends are that she's talking about. Mind you, it's not just the two of them. It's like, it seems to be like a group of almost 10 women, which is also a lot, right? When it's that big a group and you're feeling left out, I feel like it's inevitable that, as you said, you're not going to be able to make it to everything, not only because of proximity, but it's just too many people. Like, you're not going to be able to coordinate all the time.
Do I have to have a dinner party for 10 people every time, and their spouses, presumably, and children every time I want to have people over? Like, who, even rich people can't afford that, right? So it's logistical. It's also maybe emotional. Like, sometimes in a group of 10 people, you're not going to be equally close to everyone, right? So maybe you want to have an intimate dinner, and so you invite your 3 best friends. Listen, like, I understand mom friendship is intense, right? Because you become so close with people so quickly. And in many ways, it's beautiful. Like, a lot of my mom friends are people that I've just never would have had the opportunity to be friends with otherwise, because we have different jobs, or maybe they're older, or maybe they're younger, and we just aren't traditional peers, but we're mom peers, right? You know, maybe someone's 5 years younger than me, maybe someone's 5 or 10 years older than me, right? Motherhood is this bridge, and you can talk about it, and then you find other things that you have in common. So my mom friends, even though I haven't been a mom for that long, and are now some of my best friends, so I do understand that it would really hurt if you just lost a mom group. Like, I'm thinking of most of my mom friends, I don't really have a mom group, but they kind of know each other. And if they all decided to hang out after karate without me, I would be hurt. But I would try to remember what Mel Robbins said, which is, so much of this is about proximity, especially when you're burnt out and you're not really thinking in advance. Like, it's not like you're planning a wedding and really consciously excluding someone and being like, I'm not sending you an invitation. It's like, you see someone, you're like, God, I need to hang out with another human. Come over for pizza now.
Totally. Oh my God. Well said. I so second that. And I think here's the thing too, because she compares it to feeling like high school, which I understand in terms of the toxicity. Here's another element of it feeling high school. In high school, you don't have much else going on, so you can stick together and be this clique. But at this age, because I believe they're mostly in our generation, you're looking at women who are working, and they're not. Yeah, right. And they're also taking care of the house. They're got other kids. I think most of these women have multiple children, and you're doing a million other things. You've also got your family. It's a fucking lot. Like, I just have a dog, guys, and I'm exhausted. And I know having a child would be 10 times that. So I don't think you can hold it up to the same barometer as you could in high school, right? It's just not fair.
No.
And it's just not possible. People don't have the time for all this.
No. And I literally have never, ever had anyone bring this up. Like, I will tell my mom friends if we have plans with other friends sometimes, and I'll usually invite them and say, want to come. But like, they'll tell me about plans they have with other people. I'm not offended. So I don't have the mental energy to be offended the way she is. Like, this made me think that maybe, even though she's like, I'm so busy, I'm working, I'm a business person, I have 2 kids. Is she that busy? How does she have time to be this outraged about these problems?
Excellent question. Well, we can only compare her to Mandy and Hillary of the group that we know, in the group of women that we know. And I'm sorry to say, Ashley Tisdale French is not as busy as those two. Now, I'm going to let Matthew Coma, Hillary's man, have the last word on this. Here's word for word what he said on his Instagram post. It's actually quite funny because he made it look like he wrote an essay for The Cut. He said, when you're the most self-obsessed, tone-deaf person on earth, other moms tend to shift focus to their actual children. Ouch. Ouch. Self-obsessed, tone-deaf. Okay. All right. And I think that says everything.
That was hot, though. I was like, who doesn't want a man who just comes for their frenemy online? That was sexy.
It's interesting because I know a lot of women don't like when their man steps into their fights. And I totally can see that and agree with that a lot of the time. But I loved this.
In this case, when it's already so public and everyone's debating it online, then yes,
Loved
absolutely. White knight for me. Take this woman down. I'm okay with it.
Yes, and Hillary's never going to step into the fray. God bless her. Like, she's so smart. She knows her persona and her branding. She won't do it. So I love that he did it. Okay. Finally, we got one more headline for you guys. This one's a strange one, a very, very strange one. So sit down, please. We're going to talk about Disney, not the Peltz Association, something else. So this is a little more murder specific. Okay, here are the details. Last week, a man's body was found at Disney World's shopping and dining district in Florida. Of course, led to an active investigation that officials have described as a possible suicide. Now, this is striking because an unusually high number of deaths have taken place at the resort over recent months, with at least 5 other fatalities, including apparent suicides and medical emergencies, reported across Disney World hotels and grounds since last October. This is insane. Investigators have released very few details. This is such a rare instance where I'm at a loss for words. So Sarah is going to fill us in a little bit more because I need your take on this. Tell us.
Okay, so it's a really unfortunate turn of events. Every death that has happened is tragic and upsetting. And so we're not trying to make this into entertainment, but it is still interesting and worth discussing. So in the last few months, there have been 6 deaths at Disney, which is a really unusually high number, and including a couple of probable suicides and one really dramatic suicide when in October, a woman jumped off the Contemporary Hotel, which is one of the really high-end, very expensive deluxe hotels at Disney. It's iconic. It's one of the original hotels at Disney. It's actually where Richard Nixon gave his "I'm not a crook" speech. That's where he gave it. He was at Disney at that time, staying at the Contemporary. So it's a story. I don't know, like mom brain. I know.
No,
I
no, but
literally
I
have
love
taken
that
American
that's where
history.
the fact that that was the thing that like tipped you off. Sorry, go on, go on. I love it.
And so these are some pretty high profile cases. Another case that happened, which was very tragic and really unfortunate, is a man was at the Boathouse, which is a high-end restaurant in Disney Springs, the shopping area, with his family. And his daughter was there at Disney for a dance competition. He started choking. His family tried to save him. And the restaurant just like waited too long to call 911 is what the family alleges. And then he died. And so the family is alleging that, like, if somebody, while they were trying to save him and pretending to him, had just called 911, which is probably what you should do. That's what they allege, that he would have survived. So that's really upsetting. Like, that is really upsetting because it's something that absolutely did not need to happen. And that is the thing that's the most damaging for Disney, because it's supposed to be not just, Disney World's not supposed to be just the most magical place on earth, but also the vibe is the safest, right? I mean, a few months ago, when that little girl, because of her parents being negligent, fell off of that Disney cruise, almost no one survives being thrown off of a cruise or falling off a cruise. She lived because they were so on the ball with rescuing her, right? It was a miracle, and it was a testament to that team. Disney usually hires excellent people and trains them very well. So their whole image is, this is the safest place to take your children. I was recently listening to the Rest of History podcast, and they were doing the history of the Disney parks. And one of the hosts was saying that going to Disney as a parent was just the best experience, because you just think nothing bad can ever happen to your kid there. Like, if you're going to lose your kid anywhere, lose them at Disney, because they will be unharmed. You'll find them right away. And this is a bit of a chink in that image, right? As the least stressful place, the safest place. Disney in recent years has come under fire for really raising its prices. And if the product isn't flawless, you can't justify that, right? They charge so much because they say, we're giving you the best experience. It's the most immersive, but it's also the safest, right? Everything will be fine. So I don't know what this is doing. They've also really, I mean, this isn't really their fault, but the Canadian market has been alienated because of Donald Trump and tariffs. And Disney exacerbated that a little bit with what they did with Jimmy Kimmel in the fall, where they suspended him for his comments on Charlie Kirk. So really, if their product isn't flawless, I don't know what's going to happen to them, right? You can't charge that much and make these kinds of PR mistakes and then expect people will continue to flock when it doesn't feel safe. What do you think?
It's really interesting. I was thinking about it. It's hard to talk about this without sounding like a full-on conspiracy theorist, I fear. But it is interesting, to use your phrase, I feel like Disney is too big to fail. Like, it's such a massive brand and corporation that it almost seems like, even at this rate, where we've had this bizarre uptick in deaths on these grounds, no one's still really talking about it. Like, I was researching this yesterday and I was surprised how much it's not been a big story at bigger outlets. Like, if anything, it's a quick news item. But what I would like to see is a bigger investigation into what's going on here, or even just something a little meatier. And it's just not happened. No one's discussing it really. It's really blogs that are taking it a bit further, which again just adds to the conspiracy theory of it all, which isn't great. So I don't know. I think it's really bizarre to go on that conspiracy arm, though. I was thinking, because now that Netflix is knocking out these ridiculous documentaries left and right of like, you name it, whatever crazy murder, disappearance from the last while, people have been resurfacing. Sarah, I'm sure you remember, but I just had to look up her name because I couldn't remember it. But in 2011, the disappearance of Rebecca Corium from the Disney Wonder, which was a cruise, right? And this has been resurfacing so much recently because of these fucking crazy Netflix documentaries. I'm sure there'll be one made about her eventually. But when I was diving down that hole, I was reading about how so many people have speculated that Disney did do something. They did find her. They do know what happened, but they had to bury it and cover it all up because it would just be a blemish on their brand. That was in 2011. And that, again, is like a pretty wild conspiracy theory. I don't know that that's actually what happened here, but that's where people's minds tend to go when it's as big a brand as this and there's no explanation for what happened. So I feel like their damage control is to maybe do things like, for instance, what I've been seeing recently a lot is sending influencers on big Disney World trips. I've seen quite a few influencers do that recently. But the other part of it too is that I wonder what are they sending out to news outlets? Because I'm still surprised that that's not, no journalist has really tackled onto this. Like, I would love to dig into this if I had the resources. There's a way that they're able to muzzle people, I feel like, but also people just feel like maybe it's not worth going after them. Kind of like if you wanted to write a hit piece on Beyonce, like, is it actually worth it? Are people actually going to take it in? Maybe not, because again, they're too big to fail. I don't know. I'm so perplexed by this.
I think he makes some excellent points. Another wrinkle is, I mean, they literally own ABC. So they own some news, right? So
quite a bit of it.
Yeah, they own a lot of news. And not only that, but as you point out, too big to fail, they have lots of money for lawyers. Like, these are people who beat Ron DeSantis with all of his government resources and made it look really easy. Like, they just trounced him. They will hire the best lawyers in the world. Bob Iger is not cheap when it comes to litigation. I mean, he's cheap when it comes to other things. I mean, he could have been really instrumental in settling the writer strike sooner if he just said, let's pay these people properly. But he didn't do that. But he will pay lawyers well, and he'll get the best. So I think Netflix is not going to make this documentary, even though you'd think they'd want to, because Disney Plus is their competition. You'd think they'd really want to do this documentary. But is it worth it for them to be in a protracted legal battle with Disney? Is that worth it? And what would their shareholders think of that? Shareholders who probably don't like protracted legal battles, but also a lot of whom probably also have Disney stock too, and probably will be like, hey, why are you suing them? I also have stock there. So I just think that they probably have this gentleman's agreement. Just like, I don't think you'd ever see a Netflix expose on Disney Plus, right? I don't think you would ever see that either.
I think you're so right. Thank you for those points, because you're so spot on. It's not going to happen. But I hope that we do get some kind of answer about what the hell is going on at these parks, because I also am fascinated by the idea of these particular grounds being a hot spot for suicide.
I know.
So sorry for using those terms, but I don't know how else to put it. Like, you often hear about, for instance, the suicide forest in Japan, or like is it the Golden Gate Bridge? I forget which bridge is really
the Golden Gate Bridge.
It's odd to hear Disney being a spot for that, where there's a lot of children and a lot of nostalgia, and it's just odd to you can't really quite piece it together in your mind. So
I have a theory about why it is, and I don't know if I'm right.
Tell me.
And so I think that this speaks to the decline of America and the decline of American innocence, right? The American dream, people are becoming disillusioned. They realize it's not real. Nothing is more symbolic of the American dream than a Disney theme park, right? This idea that, this place that's completely artificial, just as artificial as the American dream, right? And also, I think, like, if you can't you're upset about finances or sort of about the way the world has gone. A lot of Americans now are struggling to even pay their rent. So the leisure activities that once were sort of considered the right of the middle class in America, like a trip to Disney at some point with your family for your child, are now just things for the elites. And even if you can afford to go there, it's so stratified. Like Disney exists, and there have been people who've written about this. This is not my idea, to make you feel poor, basically. When you're there,
Yes.
not only is it expensive to get there, but then you can pay more to get on the ride sooner. Otherwise, you're wasting 2 hours in the line and you go on fewer things. It's so stratified. It's basically dystopian at this point. Like it's completely
Wow.
disgusting in that regard. So they've also made it much harder to get the accessibility pass. They used to have this accessibility pass that a lot of families who had kids with autism or where people had anxiety or they're claustrophobic would access for free and quite easily. And now they've made it more difficult to get. So it's becoming a less accessible space, in my opinion, as well. So I just think it speaks to, I don't know, the decline of America, but also the fact that like maybe Disney is kind of making you feel depressed when you're there, or I don't know.
It's interesting. I think you make a lot of good points. God, that's fascinating. It's a lot to dig into. We're going to stay on this. Pay attention. If anything else pops up, I fear it probably will, because this pattern only begun in October and we're up to 6 deaths, which is a wild number. 3 makes a trend. So we're well past that. But yeah, I think it's worth digging into. God, we've given you guys a lot of reading material this episode, but we'll link to everything in the show notes as always. But Sarah, I think that's this week's episode. Thank you to all of our gorgeous listeners. We will be back next week again with a brand new episode. You can listen to The Reheat for free on the Seeker app. You can also find the show on the Frequency Podcast Network or wherever you get your podcasts. If you want to hear more from me, you can find me on Twitter at _Stephason or on Instagram at Canada Whore. Sarah, where can our listeners find you?
Listeners can find me on Instagram at @SahikinSarah. And if you liked this podcast, really, please rate, review, and subscribe so that other listeners can find us too. If you would like us to keep growing, another thing you can do that would be very helpful is to support us on Patreon at patreon.com/thereheat. It will really help us tremendously. You'll be rewarded. Thank you so much. And have a great day. Thanks for listening.